All right, EJ, thanks for joining us. I know you haven't done an interview in a while, so we'll we'll jump right in here. Clay Hall, we'll go ahead and start with you. Nicole Kraft on deck. Clay.
EJ, thanks for the time today. I'm guessing these kind of messages and taunts and threats, oh, the picture's moving, would really take the joy out of the game. Can you get over this pretty easily, or did it shake you a little bit?
It definitely bothered me a little bit just because I go out there with a smile on my face every game, just ready to play basketball. And just for people to feel so ill about me after a couple turnovers or a missed one-on-one free throw, it just doesn't sit right with me because I feel this too.
Did you, is there an update on the police investigation at all?
I haven't got an update on it, though.
Okay, thank you.
Next up, Nicole Kraft with Brendan Gulick on deck. Nicole.
Hey, AJ. I'm curious if you could kind of help us understand your thought process in going public with this. I mean, I'm guessing it's not the first time that you've gotten messages that were not complimentary, but what was your motivation and what were you hoping you would accomplish when you put these out in public?
Oh, yeah, it was definitely not the first time I've gotten something like that, honestly. But it was just after a heartbreaking loss, our season ended. And sometimes I feel like when people season end, they don't need to hear negative comments, and especially not threatening comments. But I just felt like it was time to say something. And a lot of other athletes also felt the same way. Like they get comments like that all the time. So I would rather people see us as like humans and pick us up because we sacrificed so much for this season specifically. Also, really lost all our social lives during the season. So,
Thank you.
Next up, Brendan Gulick with Patrick Murphy on deck. Brendan.
AJ, I'm sure this is not a comfortable thing to talk about, man. So thanks for being willing to spend some time with us. I guess my question builds off Nicole's a little bit from the sense that, you know, as a major Division I college athlete at a place like Ohio State, you know, you've got a heck of a platform, and that's been talked about a lot lately with student athletes across the country wanting to be able to use their platform the way they see fit. And I guess it's my understanding as you've gone through this that, you know, you're trying to have justice brought about, but also some awareness in this whole thing. I guess the question is how cognizant of your platform and your ability to try to make a difference beyond just this specific instance with you. How much was that part of your decision to bring this, you know, out into the public?
I knew some other people was going through it, especially my teammates, because I know a couple people hasn't always been their night, has always been my night. But I just wanted to use my voice a little bit. I've been kind of quiet about it, and you know, I just keep pushing because I have a pretty tough skin when it comes to criticism. But that was a constructive criticism. It was just brutal and hardcore, and it just didn't sit right with me because people can make anonymous pages all the time and text us. They have 0 followers, 0 posts, and they can just text anybody they want. But I feel like that really needs to stop.
Can I ask you a basketball question? I'm sure we're here to kind of talk about this, but if I could ask you maybe something about the Oral Roberts, you know, game in the end of the season. You know, it seems to us like there's going to be an awful lot of you back next year, right? I mean, you never really know year to year, but with the exception of CJ and Kyle, it appears that most of this team's going to return next year. How can a frustrating, disappointing, you know, unexpected opening round loss in a tournament fuel you during the off season, or you know, give you something to work toward to make a good thing out of it?
I mean, it actually sits on my mind pretty heavy. Sits on everybody else's minds pretty heavy, I believe, too. But I mean, if you look at Virginia, they lost to a 16 seed. They came back and won a national championship. And I mean, it's just gonna help us motivate through the off season, every workout. Just that heartbreak and loss and that pain that we went through after that loss. And I don't think it'll ever leave our minds.
Well, I know I speak for a lot of our colleagues here. We're sorry you're going through this, but wish you all the best moving forward.
Thank you.
Next up, Patrick Murphy with Tony Girdman on deck. Patrick.
EJ, obviously we don't have the same kind of following you guys do. How often do you get angry messages as compared to, positive messages from Buckeye fans, win or lose? I mean, what's kind of the balance, the ratio or whatever in terms of what you guys receive?
It's mostly like 98% all positive, but it's always that 2%. It comes at you pretty rough. I mean, have an off night, people won't have your back, but you have a great night, people definitely have your back. I mean, it's like sometimes fans get too high or too low, honestly, and they act out of emotion. But I feel like basically most of the time it's all Buckeye fans being positive.
And is that the worst you've received? I hope, but is that the worst you've heard?
Somewhat. I've got other messages like that, but yeah, it was pretty rough. Those stuck out to me, honestly.
Next up, Tony Girdman with Rob Aller on deck. Tony.
EJ, after you shared those messages, we've seen other athletes from around the country share some similar messages. Have athletes from around the country and other sports reached out to you, and have you guys just sort of created some sort of dialogue about it?
Oh yeah, a lot of people reached out to me. Athletes said they were going through the same thing, and just have a tough skin to keep your head up because they've been in it for a while. Like Travion Williams said, he's been in things like that since like his freshman year, and that's just not okay, honestly, because he's a great basketball player himself, and he goes out there and works pretty hard on the off season and goes out on the court and gives it his all. And it was not his best night. I don't think people should feel more hurt than him because he definitely put in a lot of work to be where he is at. And the same with all athletes, because we put in a lot of work, and if the outcome doesn't go our way, what makes them think they're more hurt than us? Because that's our sweat, blood, tears, things of that sort.
It is not right. And what do you say to people who think athletes should just, you're in the spotlight, just ignore it? What would you say to them?
That's honestly pretty tough to just ignore. I mean, you really think about it this year, social media is our social life. So we haven't really been out. Everybody tried to stay safe. And when you're not around your basketball team, social media is your social life, honestly. It's easy. It's not as easy to hit the power button, but it's more easy to say hit the power button because cell phones, you can't just cut them off. But social media is our social life right now. So.
Next up, Rob Aller with Jared Smalley on deck. Rob.
EJ, I was going to follow up on that. Have you thought about leaving social media or getting off it for a while?
I thought about just deleting some apps and things of that sort, but I don't think I can fully get off social media because I feel like I'm missing out on the world. Honestly, I don't really watch the news or regular television, but yeah, I feel like social media keeps me up to date.
One of the ugly sides of this really is the race element. I don't know if that maybe hurt you more than the way you performed. I mean, has anyone reached out to you? What are you doing with the whole idea of race, and where are you on that in terms of them attacking you and racist comments?
I mean, like I said, people act out of emotion, honestly, and they just don't think we'll probably see those type of messages because they feel like we're on a bigger platform than them, and sometimes they just really want a response, but comments like that just aren't okay, honestly, to anyone, not even athletes, just people in general.
Next up, Jared Smalley with Adam Jardy on deck. Jared.
Hi, EJ. Two quick things. First, have you made a decision about next year?
No, sir. I'm just focused on getting back into my regular life, being a little bit more social, getting back to my video games.
Getting back to your video games?
Yeah.
That's a priority.
Yeah.
Well, also wanted to follow up with, going through this experience, I'm wondering if you're kind of in your mind thinking about ways to use it as a teaching moment to help other athletes, to help other people understand the real world consequences that go into a virtual method of communication. Have you, your teammates, your coaches, if the athletic staff talked about what could be done maybe to use it in sort of a public campaign? Obviously speaking publicly here helps. Any other ideas you all have about how to use this in a way to make some change?
I mean, yeah, we're trying to use our voices as much as possible, but I mean, there's a lot of trolls on the internet. Like I said, you can make anonymous pages and people won't know who you are at all. But it's just the fact that just bringing awareness to that athletes really have feelings too, honestly. So I'm happy a lot of other athletes spoke out, like Michigan State's Rocket Watson, Malik Hall, those guys also, and Demetrius Trice from Wisconsin. Those guys also just spoke up and said that they have feelings too, and those messages sometimes do hurt.
All right, next up is Adam Jardy with Lindsey Mills on deck. Adam.
Hey, EJ. How comfortable are you, like, having to talk about all this and bringing this to the spotlight? Because we're sitting here and we're asking you all these questions, and you didn't do anything wrong. It's these other random people that are attacking you, and you're the one that's, like, kind of, you know, trying to bring awareness to it and talking about this kind of stuff. I just wonder how comfortable you are talking about all this and doing all this.
I'm fine, honestly. I feel like it had to be said by someone, honestly, and I'm happy I could be, I guess you could so-called a spokesperson for this, because I've received messages like this for a while, and I just feel as if it was time to say something, honestly.
And what would be your hope going forward by bringing awareness to this and by talking about this and being, like you said, sort of like a spokesperson for this kind of cause? What do you hope that your words, your actions can? What sort of things do you hope that can affect?
I mean, things are taken seriously. Honestly, like the police got involved because I mean, constructive criticism is a lot different than threats, and coming at a person they don't know at all is totally different than just giving constructive criticism. Sorry, and just people coming at your head and not really knowing the person you are. Because I feel like I don't want. I feel like the person who sends stuff like that doesn't want their family to be talked to like that either. Because I know my mom doesn't want me to be talked to like that.
All right, next up is Lindsey Mills with Stephen Means on deck. Lindsey.
Hey, EJ. So are you checking your phone like right after the game, like in the locker room? Take us to that moment where you read those hurtful messages and what was going through your mind in that moment?
I stayed away from my phone for a while after the game. On the way on the bus, because it was an hour bus ride back to our hotel, I just put my AirPods in, closed my eyes, listened to music. And then on the way back to Columbus, I just checked my messages, and I just read some of the hurtful things people said about me. And it just didn't sit right with me at all. Just suffered a heartbreak, season-ending loss.
Why do you think, I mean, I know you mentioned other athletes have also been, you know, receiving hurtful messages, but why you this time? Why?
That's something I still don't know, honestly. I guess because I missed a 1-on-1 free throw. We were up by 2 points. I could have probably sealed the deal. But I still don't understand why anybody would come to me like that. I definitely haven't hurt anybody in my life like that for those words be said about me. So.
All right, next up, Stephen Means with Colin Hass-Hill on deck. Stephen.
EJ, you were a pretty rated recruit when you got here, and which means you probably had a pretty hot following before you even got to Ohio State. Even if it wasn't necessarily to this degree, these messages, how young were you the first time you got messages like that after a game?
I would probably say about my senior year when I started getting really looked at as a recruit and things of that sort. I wouldn't have the best game, and people from rival schools text me, "You suck, you're a terrible person," just things like that. I just shook them off really because I don't want to be looked at as soft. Yeah, I just had tough skin for a while when it came to things like that.
So when it did get to you, because you were 17, 18 years old, I guess who were the people you leaned on and kind of helped you get through when stuff like that would happen?
Oh, definitely my parents, no doubt. They told me everybody has opinions. Everybody definitely has opinions. And everybody feels a different way about you. And all I can do is just keep my head high and prove them wrong. Next game, I step out there.
Thanks.
All right, next up, Colin Hass-Hill with Stephen Hellwagon on deck. Colin.
EJ, you had a ton of high profile people post at you on social media. Was there anyone that like stood out to you that you just really didn't expect to see that and reach out to you?
Honestly, it was a lot of people. I honestly didn't think that tweet was going to get as much attention as it did. I was just trying to show people how I get talked about sometimes after the games, but it was honestly a lot of people, a lot of athletes. It was a professional baseball player. I can't think of his name right now. But it was just a lot of people who said, yeah, they get messages like that too.
And if the police are able to find out who did this, would you be willing to, would you want to follow through with the prosecution part of it?
Not really. I've been trying not to think about it.
Steve Hellwagon up and Spencer Holbrook. Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, EJ, your former teammate, Caleb Weston, he kind of tested the waters after his sophomore year. Is that process, and I know it's in the middle of a pandemic, and he was able to travel and get out and meet with NBA teams, and maybe that's not even doable now, but is that process even a thought in your mind at this point after the outstanding season you had? Is this any part of that process, part of your thinking, or where are you at, I guess, right now?
I'm giving everything an option, honestly. But as of right now, I'm just taking a little time away from basketball, just getting back to my regular life. Hopefully, I go home and see my family pretty soon, and we'll discuss things then.
And if you think about it, I mean, if the top 6 or 7 guys other than Walker are able to come back, and Kyle, may or may not come back, whatever. I mean, you guys were a top 10 team this year. Do you feel like the pieces are there? If most of this core comes back and you add a kid who just had a huge game in a state championship game here over the weekend, a freshman, just what's your thoughts? Do you feel like this team can be right back up there in the top 10 as a contender next year, or what do you think?
Oh, no doubt. If everybody puts in the work they did on the offseason, it's going to be pretty hard to beat us. I saw Malachi had like 37 in the state championship game. That was pretty cool. Congrats to him. But yeah, I feel like the young guys come in, give a big help, and Michi Johnson, he used this year to learn a lot from CJ and things of that sort. So I feel like we can be pretty good.
Thank you.
Next up, Spencer Holbrook with Lori Schmidt on deck. Spencer.
EJ, a lot of times athletes are kind of hardened to this kind of stuff. Their skin just kind of hardens with the criticism and all the messages that they're getting. How, I guess you've already answered part of this, but like how important is it just to show people that you don't have to have the hardest skin in the world and you can be like almost vulnerable about this stuff and bring it to light? How important is that aspect of all of this?
A lot of athletes are supposed to be looked at as just like entertainers, really. You want to say, and we're supposed to be like tough always and show people that things don't get to us, but sometimes it really does. I know some athletes take it different than me, and I just look at it as my family. I have a little brother, little sister, a mom, dad, big sister, and a whole bunch of other family that supports me. And I definitely wouldn't want them to be talked about like that or talked to like that. And I don't want anybody in my family to talk to people like that. So I just want to be treated how a person wants to be treated.
Then if I can follow up, you're a first team All Big Ten performer. You have a double-double in an NCAA tournament game. You almost win a Big Ten championship. It seems like this offseason was going to be set up for you to, really even elevate yourself even more from there. And now you're almost stuck here talking to us about this kind of thing. How much is this just weighing on you that you can't focus on the positives that came from this season because right now you have to deal with this?
It was just a very select amount of people who said negative things about me, but it was the other total Buckeye fans who said they appreciated us, thanked us for having a season that we did. It brought a lot of joy to a whole bunch of households. So it doesn't weigh me down at all. I keep my head up every day, wake up with a smile on my face, and look forward to what's next.
Thanks, man.
All right, next up is Lori Schmidt. Lori.
Hey, EJ, thanks for doing this. If you got a chance to personally talk to these people that send you messages, if you got a chance to meet them face to face, what would you tell them?
I would just ask them why he felt like it was okay to say something to another human like that. Just not even me. Just the fact that you you think so bad about a person and feel so bad about a person that you could say things like that.
Thanks, EJ.
All right, we have times for one more follow-up each from Patrick Murphy and Rob Aller. Let's start with Patrick and then Rob on.
EJ, I don't know when we'll talk to you next. Just could you reflect on your season individually and what you're able to do? Obviously, the numbers you elevated, you started this year. Just looking back, I know it's tough coming off the Oral Roberts game, but how you felt you took your game to a new level this season?
This season was a roller coaster, honestly. I worked all summer just to go out there and prove myself, and I feel like I did that in many aspects. I elevated my game, so I I proved doubters wrong on me, and I just went out there and just played my hardest game all this whole season. And it kind of hurts that I had to come to an end so.
All right, and our last two will come from Rob Aller and Adam Jardy.
EJ, what you're doing here, hopefully people will learn through this process, learn things. What, if you had to step back and say, what have you learned? What are you learning through the last 48 hours from the messages, from everything else that's going on with it? Do you have a takeaway from it?
Honestly, just know I'm not the only one going through things like this, and it's better to use my voice to stay quiet all the time, I guess. Like I said, I could take criticism, people telling me I suck and things of that sort, but I just use my voice, and I feel like a lot of other athletes use their voice, and hopefully this will slow down and in the near future come to an end.
And it seems like you're not bitter at all or resentful. At least, are you fighting that, or is this just kind of the person you are, that you kind of extend grace and mercy and you'd like other people to be the same?
I feel like everybody's known me for about 2 years, and they know I'm not a mean person. I walk out my room every day, just embracing life and living every day, day by day, with a smile on my face.
All right, we'll finish up with Adam Jardy. Adam.
EJ, you mentioned a moment ago, hopefully getting to go and see your family. And I was just thinking this happening at the end of a season where you've not really gotten to see them almost at all, and just all the struggles and things that went into just having this season. Can you put into words what it was like to go through a year where you put up with so many things and so many restrictions just to have a season?
It was definitely tough, very tough, honestly. I've never spent that much time away from my family. I got to see them at a distance and wave at them. But it was very tough for us as a team just to give away our social life and just being around people, and the sacrifices we had to make just for our season to be successful. And we had a pretty successful season, no COVID cases, and the sacrifice a lot this year. And I just thank everybody in the medical team and the coaching staff for giving us the opportunity to play this year in this pandemic.
Do you think that people who didn't go through it, like you guys had to go through it, have any appreciation for all of the sacrifices that you had to make? I mean, the daily testing and, like you said, no social life and things like that. Like, I mean, this was not in any way a normal year for you guys. Do you think anybody that didn't go through it can appreciate or understand what you guys had to do to make this season happen?
I definitely don't think people really see how much we gave up. We were hesitant about everything, just like going to the mall or something, food court, had to just stay away from people and just get away from life, honestly, just for us to sacrifice to play basketball, the thing that we love. But I don't regret anything. I feel like the team doesn't regret anything because at the end of the day, we got to play the game that we love.
Thanks, EJ. Tell Bentley hi.
Sir.
EJ, thanks for your time, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks, EJ.
Thanks, EJ.
Thanks, EJ.